How to make a red velvet cake from scratch. A red velvet cake is really nothing more than a devil's food cake that has been spiked with tons of red food coloring. When paired with classic cream cheese frosting, the effect is very dramatic, as the scarlet cake contrasts with the pure white clouds of icing on top. If you are in the mood to bake something pretty and decadent, try a red velvet cake. The flavor is complex enough to appeal to both adults and children, which makes it an excellent choice to serve for tea or when you have company. Here's how to make a red velvet cake from scratch. 1. To make a cake that will yield about 12 servings, you need to prepare the following ingredients: 2½ cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of sugar, 2 large eggs, 1½ cups of grapeseed oil, 1 cup of buttermilk, 1½ tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1¼ teaspoons of vanilla extract. Of course, to give the red velvet cake its distinctive hue, you need about 2 ounces of red food coloring. Since you will be using so much food coloring, do make sure that you get a good brand. Some brands can leave an unpleasant aftertaste. 2. To make a double batch of cream cheese frosting, prepare 2 8-ounce bars of cream cheese that have been softened to room temperature, 1 stick of unsalted butter that has also been softened, 8 cups of powdered sugar, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. A double batch of frosting gives you enough to create a crumb coat so that none of the red cake shows up through the white cream cheese. 3. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. 4. Take 2 9-inch cake pans, grease generously and then flour. Set aside. 5. In a large mixing bowl, use a wire whisk to lightly beat the eggs, and then add the buttermilk, vinegar. Adding a little vinegar will make it tender, grapeseed oil, vanilla, and red food coloring. Continue whisking until everything is smooth and then set aside. 6. In another large mixing bowl, sift the flour, sugar, cocoa, baking soda, and salt. Lightly whisk with a fork to mix everything up. 7. Gradually add the wet ingredients to the dry ones, using the medium speed on your mixer. Scrape the sides of the bowl down every now and then with a spatula. 8. Once everything has been incorporated, divide the batter evenly among the 2 cake pans. After pouring the batter, give each pan a few taps on the counter to release any air bubbles. 9. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted in the middle comes out clean. Halfway through the baking process, rotate the pans to ensure even baking. 10. Allow the cake to cool for about 10 to 15 minutes in the pans before carefully taking them out and moving them to a wire rack. 11. Start frosting only after the cake rounds have completely cooled off. If you have time, pop them into the refrigerator for several hours before frosting. This will help make the layers more stable so that they won't crack or crumble easily as you frost them. It's actually best to bake it the day before to give it more time to firm up, but if you can't, just be more light-handed as you ice the cake. 12. As for the cream cheese frosting, all you need to do is combine the cream cheese, butter, powdered sugar, and vanilla in the bowl, and beat on high speed until light and creamy. Now that you know how to make a red velvet cake from scratch, a good technique for frosting it is by giving it a crumb coat, which is why the recipe given here includes a double batch of cream cheese frosting. Spread a generous amount of the frosting between the layers of the cake, and apply a thin coating all over the outside. Let the thinly coated cake sit in the fridge for at least 1 hour before applying the final layer of frosting.